need to know.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lake shores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
The fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
we are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Illinois Army National Guard. Aired by the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show, Joey Long, is the director of the DeWitt County Museum. Good morning, Joey. How are you?
I'm great, Seth. Good morning to you, too.
Yeah, thanks for making time for us as always. And last time I talked with you, we were talking about a record-setting crowd at the 54th Annual Apple and Pork Festival. Joey, how about Apple and Pork? One, are you recovered? And two, how did you enjoy your Apple and Pork Festival weekend?
Well, I will say that it was very enjoyable, and I think over 100,000 people would say the same. It was everything we had hoped for. It was a great crowd. It was beautiful weather both days. Everything just came together as it always does, and we had a wonderful festival. I've had a lot of nice comments since then from vendors, people who visited for the first time, repeat visitors. So, yeah, we're very fortunate and very happy about that.
Sure. Very good. So, yeah, another great Apple and Pork Festival weekend. And so, Joey, as you like the last month, obviously you're out, recovering from the long weekend and all the work that goes into it. I don't think people realize behind the scenes how much actually has to be done to make the event happen. So, as you're, kind of coming off of that, the recovery process, if you will, how about just, looking back on it, when do you start to, take a look at the financial pieces, start to put things in place for next year, look back and analyze, what went well, what didn't go well? When do some of those things start?
They start the day after. Seriously, really. So, we know that we have a great formula going, but, we always want to explore what could we improve on, So we're always thinking about that. And of course, it is the museum's biggest fundraiser. There's a lot that goes into putting together that financial picture that you asked about. So there are many categories, as far as, the flea market area, museum tours, the museum's food booth, but then also, those other nonprofits contribute financially to the museum a percentage of what they make. So, it seems like it might be something that you should be able to, put together quickly. There are just so many sections, so many parts, and so many things to take into consideration. You have to wait for the bills to come in, all of them. Mm-hmm. You have to, all of these other nonprofits have to have time, to get their financial records together to determine, what they might owe the museum from their food sales, many parts. So we do not have all of that put together yet, but judging from the attendance, judging from comments from the other nonprofit food vendors, judging from the fact that many of the groups actually, sold out before the festival was over, it looks like it's going to be a good year financially.
That's great. That's great to hear. Now, remind me, Joey, do the funds from this year's festival, are they going to something specific? Is there a need in the mansion for anything in particular? What's what is the plan for the dollars that were raised this year?
I don't know for certain if they're earmarked for anything coming up in the future. Of course, there will be things come up, maybe even things that we're not aware of right now, but, we've had a lot of past projects that, were kind of big dollar projects. That would be, we repainted the entire exterior of the museum. A couple of months ago, we painted the spring house. That needed to be done. Not just for cosmetic reasons, but, structural reasons. Working on getting some landscaping done at the museum, kind of trying to recreate, a more historical looking landscape and beautify the ground. So a lot of things that need to happen. We have some carpet that needs to be laid in the entry hallway. So many things, few things coming up, a lot of things from the past. So I don't really know that anything is specifically earmarked, but, it's always good to be able to have that money to, put back and have that for when these things that are expected and unexpected come.
Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, my guest on the phone this morning. Joey, the last couple of years where the homestead has been open to the public, obviously 2021, it was not. So the last time before this past fall, it was 2019 that in terms of the Apple and Pork Festival, folks could come in and take tours of the museum. One trend that you and I had been talking about was noticing that a lot of younger people were starting to take an interest in the inside of the homestead. And I told you at the festival itself, I heard a lot of this year. Oh my gosh, I didn't know I could go into the homestead and take a tour. Like I think I heard that at least 3 or 4 times between the 2 days, just in passing with noticing folk or hearing folks say that. So I'm kind of curious, Joey, when you see that trend, has that paid off at all for the homestead? I mean, do you find, younger engagement with the things you're doing, whether it be on social media, whether it be interest in terms of being a board member or a volunteer? How about just the ripple effect of that younger generation looking into the homestead, being inside the homestead during the festival?
Yeah, this is something that you and I have talked about a few times, and it's a very encouraging trend. So absolutely, we are having more engagement in the younger generation as far as our board members. We've brought on some younger board members in the last few years, and, their perspective has brought more to the table, and, their energy, we love to see that. And then on the other side of it, yes, more younger people coming in to actually tour the museum on a regular day-to-day basis, as well as the festival. During the festival tour times, we absolutely noticed, oh my goodness, so many more younger people coming in and coming in and truly engaging, by asking questions, taking their time to walk through the house, read the little bits of information or listen to the QR code recordings, not just quickly walking through. So that is very encouraging. I know that, trends come and go. And I think that perhaps now with what's going on in the world, it's somehow unexpectedly put a spotlight on history and heritage and sites like ours. And it is, it's just sparking an interest. People are acting on that, and it's just bringing many more younger people through the doors, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it's certainly a good thing to see that, and just that youthful energy is I'm sure a spark that the mansion and homestead folks have not necessarily needed, but perhaps it's just been a great benefit, I would say.
It is when you can get the different generations together and everyone working together. So you have the knowledge and the wisdom of those who have been doing it for decades and decades and decades. And then you have the newer ones brought on who can bring on a new perspective. It takes both of those things to be successful. Well, here's an example. when the museum reopened right after COVID, nobody knew how do we navigate this? How does the world look? What's this going to be like? So one thing that we did is we incorporated QR codes for each of the rooms when you walk through the house, and do the tour. And so that was just a COVID measure, but it has been so well received. People are still enjoying that and using that. And it's just a very beneficial thing. But, it was one of those board members who we would consider to be younger than, that came up with the concept for that QR code. But of course, then it was, also the older board members who, maybe wouldn't be prone to using a QR code, who said, absolutely, and encouraged that. They embraced that idea. So there's a perfect example of the younger generation bringing their world and their viewpoint to the table, the older generation encouraging it and embracing it, and it came up, with something very successful.
Joey, you do such a great job of tying in, the way, the talking points that we have, and making them come full circle, because that is an instance where perhaps, it's a youthful idea, but maybe in other circles or other, organizations, perhaps that older generation says, I don't know, I don't know what that's all about. And I don't know if people are going to, receive it well and things like that. But, that's a really good example of just, a group of folks that may not be so technologically savvy, saying, you know what, I don't know what this is, but let's give it a try. These young whippersnappers, if you will, they know what they're doing, and let's let them run with this. That's awesome.
That's right, and that is why it works so well, because that is the kind of board we have.
Joey,
none of this would be possible without the people who have the vision, the ambition, and just the positive go forth attitude.
If there's folks out there listening, Joey, perhaps they took a tour of the museum, they live locally, and they say to themselves, I'd like to be a part of the museum and the things they're doing. Do you need board members? Do you need volunteers? If they want to be involved in things, how do they get that process started? How about those things?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. We're looking for all of those things at all times. So there are many ways that you can become engaged with the museum. Anyone who is interested in volunteering is encouraged to do that. We need people that have all different types of interests. If you're a handyman, if you're a gardener, if interior decorating is your thing, historical research, any of these things, we can use any kind of talent that someone has that wants to become involved. We could certainly find a way to match that talent to, a specific task or project. And so probably the best thing to do would be to just, give me a call at the museum or send an email, either one, and just say, hey, I'd like to be involved in, decorating the house at Christmas time, or, setting up the gardens, or coming and watering the plants every day. We certainly would welcome that. And then usually the board members are selected from, these people who are museum association members, which of course membership is open to anyone, and the volunteers that come in. And then, sometimes those people are then invited to come onto the board.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So who do they call? Where do they go? What's the best way to get that ball rolling, Joey?
They can give me a call at the museum, and that number is 217-935-6066. They can also send an email, and that would be chmore.homestead@gmail.com. Or, just stop by anytime. We'd be happy to see you.
Fabulous. Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, is my guest in studio on the phone this morning. We'll talk more with her. Perhaps we'll dive into a little bit of the holiday season that comes our way at the homestead here in the very near future. Again, Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, our guest. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
This is Connie from Love It Once More Thrift Store in Clinton. Did you know we're a nonprofit thrift store helping local people in need? We're only able to do this when people like you shop and donate. Follow us on Facebook or DeWittDailyNews.com to hear our weekly sales.
Hi, this is Ryan Utterback at Utterback Real Estate, and we've got you covered.
It's finally time for pumpkin spice and coveralls.
No, I mean covering all of our buyers and sellers' needs.
Like pumpkin spice coffee and caramel covered apples.
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
Get covered by clicking the Utterback Real Estate icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Strange things happen when October comes to Clinton, Illinois. Spooky yet intriguing events encircle the town. Experience the madness for yourself. Friday and Saturday nights, October 7th through the 29th, at the Clinton Area Chamber of Commerce. Terror on Washington Street Haunted House. Located at 513 East Washington Street in Clinton. For more info, go to ClintonHauntedHouse.com. Visit us if you dare.
Every farmer feeds the world. A few take it further. Farmers who partner with Benson Hill to plant our high-protein, non-GMO soybeans do just that. Some Benson Hill soybean varieties are higher in protein right out of the ground, contributing to more sustainable food manufacturing. Others can produce higher-quality cooking oils or have special attributes for the growing aquaculture industry. The majority of farmers in our program earn more per acre planting Benson Hill soybeans than commodity beans. 2023 contracts are now available. Visit BensonHillFarmers.com to earn more.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Joey Long is the director of the DeWitt County Museum, our guest on the phone today. And Joey, let's talk a little bit as we approach the Halloween season. You've got some, I don't want to say special things going on, but if folks are stopping by for tours between now and Halloween, you've got some special stories for them. What's going on at the museum?
Yeah, so you and I have talked about when people come in for a tour, there's so many stories and so many points that you can hit on as far as, taking a tour of the museum. And I try to tailor it to people's interests. Well, it had occurred to me, it's Halloween season. And everybody likes a little fun during this time of year. And so I am inviting people, if you've taken a tour of the house before, this will not be the same as the tour you've done in the past. The house will be set the same, but the stories that I tell will be different. So when people come for a tour, I'm going to give them the option now to the end of the month when I'm there, if they want, it to be slanted more towards the spooky Halloween season. So I'm going to pull out some Victorian mourning items and have those on display. Talk a little bit about the Moore Mausoleum that's across the way from the museum. A lot of people are curious about that mausoleum, so I can tell them about what's inside and how the people actually, got into the mausoleum. Some had to be disinterred to be, placed in that resting place. There's a fascinating story about C.H. Moore's premonition about the death of his son. And this story comes down to me from Moore's own words. It's a story that he wrote himself, telling of this experience, a very touching story. We can also talk about, other things outside of, just the house. Like every person who grew up in Clinton knows about, the Bloody Mary statue out at the cemetery. Well, come and take a tour this October. And if I'm there, I can tell you a little bit about the true story behind Bloody Mary. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of other things that we can touch on too. So I think people will enjoy that. It's just a fun little thing to do. And so like I say, if you've been in for a tour before and taken, what we would call maybe a regular daily tour, we'll just be doing it with, a different slant, a few different things to look at, and definitely some different stories.
Very good. So check that out if you're interested. And Joey is, between like the festival season and the holiday season, do you see like an increase in tours? Do you see an increase in groups? How about this time of the year? What's popular right now?
Well, once we get, it tends to slow down during the month of October. You don't have as many people on the road, and I think people are trying to settle in and whatnot. But then in November, it picks up again. And the holiday season, I would say November, December, that period certainly brings in a lot more group tours. And so we have some booked already, but if anyone is out there listening and thinks that they would like to schedule a special group tour for their club or their organization or, just a group of friends, I encourage them to do that. The process would be that you just contact the museum, give me a call or send an email. Let me know, approximately how many people, if you need any special accommodations, the date and the time that you're looking at. Then I will mail a sheet to that person. And then once they fill out the form and send it back to me, then their time and date are confirmed on the calendar, and we will be ready for them to come and enjoy their special group tour at the museum.
All right, very good. So keep that in mind. And Joey, quickly, if you don't mind, highlight the holiday season. How about the holidays coming our way this year?
Sure. So it's just right around the corner, Seth. The day after Thanksgiving kicks off the Christmas holiday season at the museum. So on that Friday after Thanksgiving, we will have Santa night. So Santa will be in the carriage barn visiting with all of his little guests. And then that is also the first night for the Christmas candlelight tours. And so the candlelight tours start on that Friday after Thanksgiving and can continue every Friday evening up until the Friday before Christmas Eve.
Very good. So a lot happening in the next few months. Joey, where do folks go to follow along and keep up with it all?
I think the best place to be updated and follow along would be Facebook. So you have to look for DeWitt County Museum. There's a space between the DE and the WITT. The profile picture is a portrait of Mr. C.H. Moore. And that is updated regularly as far as, events and other information and other things of interest, artifacts of interest and interesting stories and whatnot.
Sure.
They have to go to the website. That's www.chmorehomestead.org.
Mm-hmm. Joey, I hate to do this to you. I have to cut you off there. Joey Long, director of the C.H. Moore Homestead and DeWitt County Museum, our guest. Network News is now.
Country's next leader, following the resignation of Prime Minister Liz Truss. The governing Conservative Party has ordered a lightning-fast race that aims to have a new prime minister in place within a week. Ukraine's Army General Staff says as many as